I set up my layout to run in DC mode, and I decided I was going to get out my old locomotives from when I was a child. These are from the late 70s, and I thought I would see how they look running around the layout, see if they're willing to run. So the first one we're going to start with is an Atlas from the yellow box, and I remember these were $25, and they were the most expensive locomotives you could get, and I think $25 back then was like $250 now. And remember, this is DC and not a lot of advanced technology. I always think of that when people talk about how expensive model railroading is today. I think it's just as expensive in the 70s, and the quality wasn't as good. You take that into consideration. So, to give away a little bit of a secret here, I already know how some of these are going to work. This was actually, I think, the first locomotive I ever ran on this layout before I put DCC in. And let's give it a try. Well, it's trying to go. Got the wrong direction. Here we are climbing the hill. Here we have another Atlas from a yellow box, and that Pennsylvania ran pretty well. It really amazes me. These things sat in a non-climate controlled attic for at least 30 years, never receiving any care at all. I took them out of the box, or took them out of the attic when I moved into this house, and they sat here for a while until I had some track on the layout to run, and they kind of started right up. The Atlas ones did. So they're not running great, probably need some lubricant or whatever. Let's see how this one does. This is at 70% throttle climbing up the hill. Oh, it stalled on the frog. See how slow this can go. It stalled. That's about 30% throttle. And it's not going to make it over the frog. Okay, next in line on our Atlas collection is the Santa Fe Yellow Bonnet. It's about 30% throttle. So this one ran better than the other ones, I think. I didn't use this one so much. I didn't like it quite so much. This is the last of the Atlas. This was my favorite one as a kid, and this is a SD35. So we have a 6-axle locomotive. And it's not on the rails. This thing ran really well and didn't have too much trouble with it. I think I made 4 or 5 laps while I was filming, so that's pretty cool. It's a little loud, needs some oil. This was a Mantua, and it was my only steam locomotive because they were more expensive than diesels. And it didn't run as well as the Atlas. Atlas had the best reputation back then, and Tyco sort of had the worst. So let's see what this thing does. Giving it 30%. Well, it sounds like something's wrong with it. I don't know if it can make a lap or not. It is spinning its wheels. Here I tried to recreate the crash filming in slow motion, but of course the crash didn't happen. Well, there's a little bit of carnage. I don't know where Baby Ruth went. Oh, there's Baby Ruth. Well, it derailed again. So this thing has some trouble with turnouts, and it smells like burnt metal in here. I'm amazed it ran that well. It managed to do, well, it didn't do a whole lap. It derailed, but I'm surprised. Here we have an Athearn blue box, I believe. These were a little bit cheaper than the Atlas, as I remember, maybe like $20. And this one I really liked. My layout was a figure 8 surrounded by an oval, and the oval was all 22-inch radius track. And it was on a 4x8 piece of plywood. And this thing required 22-inch radiuses, so I was so happy that I had a layout where I could actually run this thing. So let's see how it does. I'm having a lot of trouble with the coupler on the Baby Ruth car. It's the only car I have that has a horn coupler on one end and a knuckle on the other. So that Athearn ran really well. That thing was great. So let's try this thing. I'm not sure what this is going to do. This is also an Athearn, just Athearn blue box. Well, it's going to move. We hit a dead spot? What happened? I think it shorted something out or did something stupid, but it has died. Yeah, I think this one's dead. This is an AHM, and I don't think this one works, so I didn't even bother hooking the train up. Let's see what it does. It does nothing. The light's on? I think the light's on. Yeah, this was sitting in the work area as if I was going to try and fix it at some point, so I didn't think it worked. So here's another Athearn. I didn't think this one worked, but it does. Doesn't sound too good. And we got sparks. Okay, cannot take this curve too fast, and we've got some damage. We damaged the layout. Well, I can't believe that thing ran. I also tried to recreate this crash filming in slow motion, but of course it didn't happen either. Well, it's got some trouble with frogs. Can't believe that one worked. I thought this thing had died and I couldn't figure it out. Like, I thought it worked, and first time I tried it several years ago, and I don't know. Smells like burnt metal in here. What we got here is, I think, a lifelike, and I am pretty sure this one does not work. So this is the dummy, and this is the powered, and the powered is missing a coupler, so I can't connect them anyway. And the weird thing is, I don't think this runs on code 83 track. I think you have to have code 100 because the flanges are hitting the rails. But let's give it some power and see what happens. Absolutely nothing, so it's at 50%. Okay, so it wants to do something. Well, alright, so this thing actually runs amazingly. I didn't think it would, but it's got a problem with the track. This is that Athearn Amtrak F7, and I just took the top off, basically, gave it some oil, and it seems to have fixed the problem somehow, but I think that these were just loose connections or something. So I'm going to put the top back on and see if it still runs.